제시카 외동딸 일리노이 시카고 과선배는 김치모 그는 이사촌.
부자인데 착하다니까.
진짜니까 잠대들이 serious.
Hey everybody, welcome to the next episode of the Reel Thesis Podcast. I'm your host Shalini.
I'm Liana.
And today we are discussing the film Parasite.
Written and directed by Bong Joon Ho.
And the film won the Oscars for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay.
So we just watched the movie. We're kind of doing something different today. Do you want to tell them what we're doing today?
Yeah, so normally we prepare a whole essay ahead of time, but today we wanted to do something different for the holidays. So we decided to watch the film and do a hot take of it. So we actually just came from watching the film.
We have not discussed it at all. We've both seen this movie before. We're fresh off of watching it. We have a lot of thoughts, and we'd love to jump in on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So shall we jump in?
Yeah.
The film is about basically a family who is a very poor family in a city in South Korea. I don't think they say the city.
I think it might be Seoul, but yeah.
Might be Seoul. Yeah. And so this family is really opportunistic, and they get an opportunity to start working for a rich family, and slowly they get each member of the family hired, and they kind of are able to move up in life until things fall apart really horribly to the detriment of both families.
And it's a story about class. It's about opportunism and about consumerism and capitalism. And it was extremely relevant when it came out in 2019 and is extremely relevant today, which is kind of one of the reasons why we chose it. It's a dark thriller, also a little bit of a comedy as well, which is something that we're both noticing, that there's like funny moments to it.
Yeah, this was probably the second time I've seen the film, and I was laughing a lot more. Like, It was so much more funny. And I think that was the point of it. And I've seen a few films of his. But yeah, it was a very funny film, but I was also still taken by the way that the themes are reinforced visually on screen. I'm always taken by color. I talk about color in almost every single thing I do. And this time I was also really taken by the acting.
It's actually really funny that it is kind of a funny movie because it's almost satirical of consumerism and today's like capitalism, that it's like, yeah, these are completely dire situations, that it's almost absurd. It's almost like absolutely ridiculous what's happening.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what are we going to dive into first?
Should we start with the obvious one? That's about money?
Yeah. Let's start about money. What about money? What do you think it's trying to say?
I think it's trying to say that there's a futility in gaining money and class movement in today's society. It is not that it's like impossible for anyone to move, but there's so much futility to the story, because the whole idea is that like you have this poor family and they are scheming their way into a better life. You have another family that's like maybe trying to work towards a better life. And in the end, none of them are going to get anything. The rich people are still rich. The poor people still get screwed over.
Yeah, it's interesting because I remember when it came out in 2019, it was a film that like, it was such a clear distinction of class, and it was such a like clear conversation around like mobility. And now that I think the weird hesitations that we have, or the inability to talk so explicitly about it, is because we're living in a day and age. Like, this film came out before the pandemic, and we saw it before the pandemic for the first time. And it's hard to watch this film and not think about like current financial situations or the difficulties that we've seen in the past 5 years since then. Yeah. And then we were just talking about Squid Games, which is also a film about like capitalism and money and power
and class structures and class exploitation. And like, it's interesting because these are like both Squid Games and Parasite are Korean movies, but they're extremely also relevant in America here. And like, in fact, our economic situation here has gotten a lot worse. Across the world, it's probably gotten a lot worse because upper classes are hoarding a lot of wealth, and it's not being distributed to lower classes. And there's no, as I was saying, there's no mobility. There's no way for lower classes to get in on wealth, get in on money. So, for example, for Ki-jong, who's the second daughter in the Choi family, is really, really smart. She's shown that time and time again. But at the beginning, when the son is talking to his friend Min, the son asks, like, oh, why doesn't she go to cram school? It's like, she can't afford to go to cram school.
Yeah.
And cram school is how you pass the university exams. That's how you get into universities. That's how you get a good job. You can't. And same thing happens. I think the father makes a point later on that you need a bachelor's degree to be a security guard. And even then, 500 people are still applying for it. So it's not about, our systems today are not meritocracies.
Yeah.
It really is about who you know, which is actually a really big plot point in this movie.
That's actually a really good point. I like that you brought that up because I kept thinking, like, it's interesting that this opportunity comes from someone who's in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Min already is in college. He's already has access to this, and he never would have brought this opportunity to the family if, like, you know, he wasn't friends with Min.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Exactly. By the way, if you see us looking down, we're just looking down at our notes. We have everything written down here.
Yeah, we took notes while watching, and also we want to make sure we get the names of the characters correct. So we're checking on the characters' names.
Please excuse any mispronunciations. We are doing our best. So please forgive us for that. But that's a repeated thing. So, like, yeah, it's Min who gets Kiwoo into the family. And then that's repeated. That's repeated again and again, where the mother or the father of the rich family, the Park family, they're like, recommendations are better than any documentation. So the mother doesn't even look at Kiwoo's, like, documents or his university resume or his grades or anything. She's like, oh, the previous tutor recommended you.
Yeah.
I trust that.
So I kind of want to touch on the second theme, or I guess there's a lot of themes, but there's definitely a theme of trust in it.
Okay, yeah.
Do you have thoughts?
No, go for it.
Okay. So, I mean, the first thing that stands out is that the reason that Min comes to Kiwoo is because he is like, you know, I want someone to tutor. I'm blanking on her name.
The daughter, Dae-hee.
Yeah, Dae-hee. And he's like, I don't want to tell my university friends because they're all going to hit on her.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Kiwoo does.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, it's interesting that, like, trust is broken. Like, trust, I don't know, trust is like, how would you say? It's almost like transactional in this film.
Interesting.
Yeah.
In a way, yeah. I don't know if trust is transactional. It's almost given very liberally without being earned.
Yes, yeah. It's given very liberally.
The point that I was going to make about it was that it's very funny because the Park family are suspicious, but they're suspicious about the wrong things.
Yeah.
So the daughter, Dae-hee, asks Kiwoo that she's like, oh, do you think Jessica's really pretty? She's your girlfriend, right? So she's suspicious that he likes Jessica when in reality Jessica's his sister. She's guessing about something. She's guessing the completely wrong thing.
Yeah.
And similarly, I didn't write it necessarily down, but the father and the mother of the Park family also do something similar where they're like, oh, it's really like, maybe he does this or maybe he does that. And it's like, they're suspicious. They know something either about the Kim family or about their previous employees, but they're totally off base.
Yeah, they're totally off base. And I think you see that with, like, the chauffeur and the housemaid, the first ones, because, yeah, like, they're just very suggestible and gullible.
Very suggestible. Like the Min says at the beginning that the wife is very simple.
Yeah.
And you see that repeatedly.
Yeah. Yeah. But even Mr. Kim is, like, very suggestible. Like, even he, well, I guess it's interesting because he doesn't know why. Well, yeah, I guess he's very suggestible. You know, he's the one who finds the underwear in the car and he's like, oh, you know.
And that's the thing. They think they're being smart. So with the example of the underwear, that the father finds it and he kind of deduces, he's like, okay, why is the driver having sex in the car? Must be like a woman with drugs. Like he makes all these deductions, and you think he's to himself and to his wife, he seems very smart to have put this all together. He has no idea he's being played.
Yeah.
Same thing with the wife, where the wife, both times with both Kiwoo and Ki-jung, as they start their tutoring sessions, she's very strict, especially with Kiwoo at the very beginning. She's like, if you're not as good as Min, I don't want you. Like, you have to be as good as him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to come and sit in on the session. And then during the session, they both kind of do like this like nonsense thing. Like, they're kind of making this up as they go. Like they know a little bit of art therapy, they know a little bit about English, but they're like making up this education, this tutoring, and she completely buys it because as I said, they're being suspicious. And they think they're being smart, but they're not. They're completely getting played here.
Yeah.
And so bringing that back to trust, how do you think that plays into it?
That's a good question, because I almost feel like nobody trusts anybody. Well, I'm trying to think if the Kim family even trusts each other. I guess within the family there's trust.
I think so. I think that there is genuine love and trust within the Kim family, but there definitely isn't among the Park family. And that makes a repeated point that the husband doesn't actually love the wife.
You don't think so?
No, he says that at the end.
Does he?
He says it like at the end, right before the whole massacre, that the Mr. Kim says to him, he's like, "Oh, you really love your wife," and he's like, "You're getting paid to be here, right?"
Oh, I never got that.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't understand that's what it was.
That's one thing. There's another point where they reference something like that.
Oh.
And then he's like, I think again when they're talking, something like the Mr. Park says that he's like, "Oh, like she's a little bit like this, but like she's good." And then like when Mr. Kim's like, "Oh, you love her," like he kind of evades.
I did not understand that part. Well, the one thing I did notice is that I love that, Mr. and Mrs. Kim, that they really love each other.
Yeah.
Like they have such a cute relationship together, and especially when he plays at being angry. And I love that, because the son is like, "Don't, Dad, she's going to hit you."
Yeah. and she immediately follows up with that she's like, "If this was real, like, you'd be dead right now."
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
He knows his wife. And like, and even when the house is flooding, he saves her medal. He saves her award.
I know. The thing he saves is her medal.
Yeah.
It was so sad. Yeah. But then you see that with the couple, Guk Moon Gwang.
Yeah.
And her husband, like, she loves him so much that she has like sheltered him in this house, and she feeds him and she takes care of him and she looks out for him. And the second she could come back, she comes back. And
And likewise, he goes on a rampage because they killed his wife.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's interesting that like love is very absent in this rich family, and love is so present, like in the poorer families.
Yeah.
And they try very hard to look out for each other.
Yeah. And it's even in the way that, like, again, if this was a happy story, that would be enough. That would be enough for you to overcome the odds. You'd be enough to be an underdog. They're like, we're a team that's going to, the Kim family would be like, we're a team, we're going to stick together. That's not how it works. Like, just because you're a close family, just because you care for each other, again, none of that is going to help you get out of the situation that you're in.
Yeah, exactly. And instead, actually, you see like the juxtaposition with the Park family, because, I mean, when they come back from the camping trip and the mom is like, "Please make noodles for the son." And then the father doesn't want it, so she eats it. And Dae-hee?
Yeah, I think so.
Dae-hee is like, "Mom, like, you didn't even offer it to me, or you didn't even like ask." Like, they're so individual. They have such an individualistic mentality.
That's true.
That they like are a family, but they behave so singularly. And like Miss Choi is completely oblivious to the fact that her daughter is like dating her tutor.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't, and I actually didn't remember that part. So I was like, the whole movie I was expecting her to catch them at some point.
Yeah, you do expect that.
Yeah, but they're so isolated in this big house and so individualistic in this big house. And that's such a juxtaposition to like the close-knit family, like the Kim family, because their house is so physically small.
Yeah.
That they're on top of each other a lot. Because there's only like a few rooms.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think just to add to this point about like love being in the Kim family, like, I think it is very beautiful and sad at the end when Ki-jung dies that her parents are there, like trying to like cradle her and like stop the bleeding. And not to say that the Park family aren't also trying to help their son, but that was just a point that I liked. I was going to say about the japaguri. So I learned, and I could be totally wrong, but I learned that was actually a made up noodle. So it's like,
what?
It's something that like maybe like the previous housekeeper must have made for the son.
Oh, like it was kind of like a family recipe thing.
Like, and I noticed, I was trying to watch it because I heard that somewhere, and then I was watching, and she pulled out like different types of noodles.
Oh.
But that's what my wife says. After they call and say like, "Hey, we're coming home," Ms. Kim like turns to everyone else and she's like, "What's japaguri?" Like,
yeah.
I think it's a made up thing. And so it's like even more like they're in the middle of this entire fight right now. And now she's being asked to be like, make something. She's like, "I don't even know what this is. Like, what are you talking about?" And then like, yeah, you're right. Like, so also you're right. The wife eats it, but at least the way that I had seen it. And again, I might be like reading the subtitles wrong, but it was like the wife, I think, offers it to Miss Kim. And then she's like, "Actually, never mind. Like, So the son doesn't want it. The wife offers him the kid. She's like, actually, never mind. I'll give it to my husband. There's sirloin in it. It's expensive meat, expensive food. Doesn't want to give it to the help.
Oh, I did not get that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I noticed that the
interesting.
last time I watched it, that I was like, wow.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I got the line. Yeah, that was a good catch.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And I think, so something that I was noticing on this was that, like, funny enough, the Kim family are not good people. What they're doing in this movie is kind of terrible, honestly, but you understand why they're doing it, and you're rooting for them to do it. And the thing is that the Park family, like, you maybe kind of feel a little bad for them. You're kind of like, okay, like, they're getting taken advantage of, but it's also kind of funny to watch that they're getting taken advantage of because they're so naive, they're so simple, like, maybe they deserve this. And then very slowly, especially towards the middle to the end, they sprinkle in more and more where you're like, it's not that the Park family deserves what happens to them, but you understand why it's called Parasite, because the Kim family's not good, the Park family's not good, Moon Gwang and her husband are also not necessarily good people. Like, none of them are really good people here. And so it'll be small things like that where the wife is like, hey, be really demanding. We're coming home in 8 minutes. Get this ready. And then, like, I'm going to offer it to you, but also I'm not going to offer this food to you. And then the next day, like, again, like, the climax of the scene is that, like, a climax of the movie is that their entire house has got flooded. They're, like, almost homeless at this point. And then the wife is like, oh, we're going to have a party. Like, come and help us. And then she's throwing this whole party, but she's making Mr. and Mrs. Kim do all the work.
Oh.
Buy the food, cook the food, set up the tables. And they're like, also be quiet. Like, don't make too much noise while you're setting up. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It did cross my mind at one point. She's like, you know how I cook? And then you see, like, chefs there or something. Like, yeah, you don't see her cooking ever.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Parasite as a title and who's a parasite of whom?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So I don't even know where to begin with this. So obviously the Kim family, which is the family we start with, they're a parasite because they have now finagled their entire family to be fully employed by the Park family.
Yes.
So they're clearly a leech on the Park family.
Yes. But likewise, the Park family cannot function without the Kim family, which is kind of what we're saying, that the Park family is so individualistic that, like, they can't survive on their own. Their wife cannot cook and clean. The son is, like, off in his own little world.
The mom can't control the son, but you see the housekeeper being able to control the son more or engage with him more.
Yeah. They need external people to make their lives run smoothly. The father needs someone to drive him. The daughter doesn't really want to talk to any of them. Like, she's a little kid. Like,
yeah, she does. She's like a teenager. She doesn't engage with her family ever. Yeah.
And very particularly, like, and both in that emotional connections and being able to take care of each person, but it is very, like, practical things where it's like, yeah, this rich family cannot live in this house without someone cleaning it. They cannot live without someone cooking for them. They cannot live, like, they could. That's the thing. They entirely could, but they are living in such convenience that they need someone to be creating the convenience for them. And that's, like, why the light up the staircase is, like, so fascinating. And what that's such a good, like, symbolism of the movie as a whole is because the father, so what happens is Mr. Park, every time he comes home, the lights on the staircase from the garage to the main house lights up. And he always says, like, he thinks it's an automatic sensor. So he and the wife are talking one point. They're like, oh, the automatic sensor is being weird. It's not an automatic sensor. Someone downstairs in the basement is turning it on. And it is so emblematic of the movie as a whole that it's like, yeah, for these people to live perfectly convenient lives with no problems, there's a whole ton of people underneath them who are making everything possible.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, you know, I thought Ki-tak, the father of the Kim family, I thought he was just a driver for Mr. Park, but he's a driver for Miss Choi. Like, he takes her running errands and groceries all the time and shopping and stuff. Like, none of them can function. And then, you know, going to the Gook family, which I guess is the couple, you know, Moon Gwang is the first housemaid. She gets fired and her husband is living in the basement. They're obviously a parasite on the Park family because they're using their physical house. Like, Mr. Park keeps the light on. They buy the food, and even though Moon Gwak like says that she uses her own money to feed him, like, she's still getting money from this family. And I forget her husband's name. Again, sorry for the pronunciations, but Junse. Like, he he really like admires Mr. Park. And he like thinks like respect.
Almost worships him,
Yeah,
like as if he's like a presidential leader.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, 4 years in captivity, not captivity, but 4 years like.
And in prison, virtually.
Yeah, and in prison. And so this person is like the person who's able to keep the lights on and pay food for him. And so, it definitely goes to this parasitic relationship that you're talking about.
And interestingly, like talking about the parasitic relationships is that like Moon Gwang and her husband, once Moon Gwang gets fired, she requires the help of the Kim family in order to keep the secret and keep her husband alive. They're completely at the mercy of the Kim family. So it's like the parasitic relationship doesn't stop just because they're fired. It just goes to the next person who can help you. And of course, the Kim family refuses to help, and that causes all the problems. It was, you mind jumping off that point, is that it was interesting because in the flooding scene, all the people so what's happening, like the flooding, the father, son, and daughter are all coming back home, and you can hear people shouting, you see people in trouble. Everyone's shouting for help and no one's helping. Like the car's stuck, someone else was trying to get a bike or a motorcycle up the stairs or something. They're all shouting, and he's like, yeah, I'll come back in a second. But they're trying to get to their own house to save their own things. And it's like, it's not that they're cruel people. It is not that the Kim family is cruel to their neighbors or to the Gook family. Like, it is that they are also in survival mode. Yeah. Everyone is so deeply in survival mode that they cannot help without risking themselves. Yeah. And I think that's why they refuse to help the housekeeper and her husband, is because it's like, they're already at risk. They're already have this entire con set up that like, they cannot risk it. And maybe it's also a little bit of selfishness that they're like, hey, like, we made it this far. Like, you guys should figure something else out too. Yeah. But everyone is still in survival mode.
Yeah, I definitely think that. I think that like with that situation, but the flooding was such a perfect situation that everybody is kind of worried about themselves, and like, they don't have the capacity or the bandwidth to worry about anybody else or to sit and help anybody else when their own home is flooding and everything they own is in it. And it's just,
It's every man for themselves. And that is no different than the Park family. The Park family also, at the end, like, this girl is dying and they're like, no, we're taking care of our son first. Like, it's every man for himself.
Well, I think that's what lends into like the capitalist aspect of it. Yeah. Like, because there is so few resources between the Gook family and between the Kim family, like they're so stretched for resources that they don't have the bandwidth. Whereas you do, like, that is different than the Park family, that they have so much money and so much wealth that they're able to help all these other people and provide incomes for all these other people to their detriment. Like, and then it becomes like a very transactional, but codependent relationship.
Yeah,
but
very much so. Parasitic relationship.
Yeah, a parasitic relationship.
Yeah, but it makes sense. And it's like, this movie is so powerful in the way it talks about class struggles and class differences, is that it's like, everyone at the bottom is just struggling to survive and the wealth is hoarded at the top. But like, maybe in a better world, like, we could be more kind, we could be more helpful, but everyone is just fighting for the few resources that are left. Like, you can only have one housekeeper, you can only have one driver. So they had to get rid of the previous housekeeper and the previous driver because their family needed to survive. Like,
And Ki-tak at one point, when their family is sitting around the table, he's like, oh, I hope the previous chauffeur ended up finding a job. And Ki-jung is like, the daughter is like, why are you worried about them? Like, we need to worry about ourselves. Like, when they're finally financially okay, they have the tiniest bandwidth to worry about someone else. But it's such a fragile state that like...
It's so fragile. It is not secure. And that's immediately what happens. I do want to get to this. I do want to talk about that scene very specifically. Okay. But... that's exactly what happens. As soon as the housekeeper shows up, the family looks at each other and they're like, what do? We don't know what to do here. And the son, this has all been the son's plan. Like, he's the one who got started. He's the one who got his sister hired, like, one by one. The sister's like the architect of the plan. Like, she's like actually making it work, but he's the one who like thought of it and designed it in the first place. That maybe it was not correct, but he says, I don't know what the plan is. I don't know. This wasn't part of my plan. That's what he says. This is not part of my plan. Yeah. And it completely goes off the rail there.
Well, I think it speaks to the resourcefulness of the families. Like, the rich family doesn't have a plan. They never talk about a plan. They never talk about any kind of thing. And then the Kim family has a plan. They have to have like such a strategic plan to be able to be mobile and move up. And then the Gook family, I feel like, has an even more intricate plan because it has to be very meticulously articulated for them to keep the husband in the house and not have anybody know. And I think it's meaningful that it's an architecture's home. Like it is like, it is something that is, I mean, it lends to the whole idea of a basement and
all the things. Explains a lot.
Explains a lot, but like it goes to this idea of planning. I mean, they say that the basement is created in case there's an attack from North Korea and, you know, people need to go into hiding. Or just go into safety. And like, it's all about planning. It's all about planning for like the worst case scenario.
And the rich family doesn't have to do that.
Yeah, and they don't do that. And so they never even think that there's a basement, even though this is
question that. Yeah.
Yeah, but at one point they're like, this is something that's in house. They never question it because they have no need for a plan.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. And that also takes us to the like scene in the basically like the safe house, the convention center where everyone's sleeping after the flooding. And Ki-woo asks his father, Ki-taek, like, what's the plan? And the father's like, the best kind of plan, the plan that can never go wrong is no plan. And Ki-woo keeps making plans. He keeps, from the beginning, he has this plan to get himself hired, to get his family hired. And he even has a plan before that. He's like when the father's kind of making fun of the fake resume and all, he's like, don't worry, like this university transcript is going to be real next year. I'm going to enroll next year. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be going to Yonsei. And Yonsei is like one of the best universities in Korea. So it's like a little unrealistic, but they also mentioned before that he took the college exams 4 times.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like...
He has planned it.
And maybe, I don't know what happened, but like he probably isn't passing it. I think that's maybe the implication, if I'm understanding. But he has a plan. So he has that plan. And then afterwards, after the flooding, he's almost a little saddened by what his father says, but he's like, he still comes with a plan. He makes the plan to kill the housekeeper and her husband. Like, he's like, I'm going to go. He takes a stone down. He's like, I'm going to kill them in order to keep our plan here and our secret here safe.
Oh.
The mother and the daughter are ready to negotiate with them downstairs. Oh. But he's going down with the intention, as far as I'm understanding it, to kill them. And then again, at the end, he makes another plan to be like, I'm going to earn a lot of money and I'm going to buy the house. Like, he keeps having this really idealistic view of how things are going to go. And he just keeps trying. He just be like, okay, this one's going to work. This one is going to work. And that is so real. That is so real for people who are struggling, that we're like, there's a phrase that it's like, people often act like they're temporarily embarrassed millionaires. And that's the way that Ki-woo acts. Like, he's like, oh, I just, this is going to work. Versus his sister, who's very realistic about their situation.
That's true, yeah.
This is fragile.
Yeah, she's very realistic about it.
She's the only one who's realistic. When they're all sitting around and talking and daydreaming about, like, he's going to marry the daughter one day and this is going to be our house, she's like, she says, let me live here first and then I'll let you know. Like she doesn't ever, she's the only one of all of them, including the housekeeper and her husband. Like, they also have daydreams. Like, she's the only one who never daydreams. She sees everything for what it is. She never really, she schemes to get into this job, but she doesn't scheme beyond it because she just knows, like, hey, this is already fragile. Like, she's just taking it for what it is.
But then it's more symbolic that she's the one that dies in the end.
Yeah.
Because she's like the grounded one and not the pessimist, but like the realistic one. So her dying, like, that tether to reality is officially gone.
Yeah, that's true. And also that they say that, like, she's the one who looks most at home in the house. Like, he's like, Ki-woo says that he sees her in the bath and he's like, yeah, you looked right at home. You like we're watching TV and all, like, something like she's so at home and she's the smartest. Like, she is definitely the smartest out of the family. She's the one who, again, puts the whole plan, like, actually into action. She's the one who figures out everything. She has what it takes, but she knows it doesn't work. Because she's so smart, she knows that none of it's going to matter.
Yeah, that's very true, yeah. I'd love to talk about the stairs.
Okay, yeah. Major motif here.
Yeah, it's a really amazing motif because there's such a, like, distinction. Like, you see the Park family, when they're going to the Park house, Kim-woo or Ki-woo is climbing. Like, it's so, like, the park, like, the house is climbing. It's high.
It's on a hill.
And then all of their living quarters are upstairs.
Yeah.
And then,
there's so many. Like, stairs and ascending and descending, an extremely important motif in this story. Like the Park's family house is on a hill, and then like later when we're going back to the Kim's house during the flooding, it goes a long way down. Like you're watching for a minute or so of them going down and down further down. It's
amazing like how much they're going down. And then, you know, they live in the basement apartment. So it's like below the street or half below the street. So it's not a full basement.
Even in their poor neighborhood, they're still at the bottom of the hill.
And they like, and they live mostly below ground. Then even like the toilet and the sewage is like the highest point in their apartment.
Also, there's obviously a lot of stairs, like so coming up into the house and then like you said, going up into the living quarters, but then descending down into the basement. And again, the basement's a long winding stair of like going further down. So it's like, I think there's a lot of people who have talked a lot about how stairs play into that motif of class and capitalism in the story. But the way that it's shot is like really beautiful. It's very sharp and it keeps following. And also as the characters try to move between the class, they do go up and down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it's like a very, so if you look at the Park family's garage is at the bottom, and then they climb the stairs to the house, and then they have another set of stairs to their living quarters. So they do climb stairs, and it's like a change between like two flights of stairs. But the Gook family, like the winding all the way down to the basement is long, and like it's a bigger thing. But like Moon Gwang, she's lived in this house. She's helped serve this house for like years. So for her, like she feels partly like she's an owner of the house. So like the physical distance that she does climb, she does go down to the basement to like feed and help her husband. And then she goes, you know, the whole length of the house, but it's still not that much compared to the Kim family. Yeah. That is like a physical, and all of it is basically symbolic of how far these people have to cover the distance.
That's a really good point.
Makes me think of this thing that people say a lot, which is like, oh, if you want to be rich, like do the work or lift yourself up by your bootstraps. And I think the thing that is not talked about a lot is like, it is an unequal amount of distance that people have to traverse.
100%.
And it's like, you know, in America, it's easy to point things at like systemic racism and classism and just like unequal opportunities. So it's interesting to see this in a film like this, which isn't, you know, American culture, and to see a similar thing. Yeah. Like it's not as simple as work hard, make money, get your bootstraps, like get yourself out of your situation, because the distance that people have to cover is so different for each person.
And that's the thing, like this is not exclusive to a nationality. This is not exclusive to like a country. This is a problem with class. This is a problem with the way that our class structures are currently made, and the way that we are increasingly in these capitalistic societies where the gap between those classes gets really, really big, and it gets harder and harder to cover that ground. Two examples, like Squid Games, obviously it's about class structure and exploitation of poor classes. Like, you're literally being killed for the entertainment of the rich. Like, there's absolutely, I mean, I haven't seen the later seasons, but there's no traversing the classes. You can't even make that close a distance. But even in something, there's a famous K-drama that came out maybe 2018, 2019, I think, called Sky Castle, which is about these rich families and the things that they'll do to get their kids into the top universities. Yeah, like they do all these insane things, and a lot of it is money. Like they can spend so much money on tutors. They can spend money on this. They can spend money on cram schools. Again, what we were saying, like Ki Jung, she's very smart. She can't even afford to go to a cram school. Like, let alone either of these kids can really go to university. Yeah. Like, it is not accessible. It is the futility of being able to move between these things. And say, even with the housekeeper, I think you're right. Like, she does feel a little bit of an ownership over the house. Like, I'm saying that she's like, her and her husband daydream a bit. Like, they're very fond of the architect, of the original person who made the house. And she praises him and how great he was. And they later take on over the house, and they're like, this is so great. Like, they're acting as if they own it. But they themselves also have to, like, go scurrying back to the basement when the Park family comes home. Yeah. Like, as much as you think that you can impersonate this, as much as you think you can, like, squeeze in and be like, oh, I'm just going to be here on the side, it's not accessible.
And there's not room for it either. No. And, like, when Ki Woo and Ki Jung are invited to Da Song's birthday party, they're being paid to be there.
Yeah.
Like even when they're parading as an equal, even though they're parading as like an honored guest,
Yeah.
there's still is exactly like what you were saying. Like they'll never be able to cross over this line and to just be equal at this kind of party and to be at ease in those parties. Like they're still under some kind of capacity.
They're there for a reason, and they get reminded. That's exactly what I was saying, that the father reminds them, it's like, you're getting paid to be here. And we see that is another motif in the design of the house, and the motif in the movie is lines. You'll see, like, particularly in the window of, like, this will be a housekeeper, this is the Mrs. Park, and, like, she, like, will maybe jump in and she has to go back to her place. Like, and that happens, different things like that happen, but there is distinct lines of when a character jumps over and when a character doesn't. And that's something Mr. Park says a lot is don't cross the line. Like, I'm fine with anything else, but don't cross the line. Like, you cannot cross it.
I think another really, like when Moon Guo comes to like ring the doorbell and the mom, like the whole family just sitting on the couch talking and the mom has to go, you know, answer the door. The rest of the family is like behind a pillar. And like it's not just a line between the working family, like it's also a line between the roles, like when they're themselves and when they can be different.
Who they're pretending to be.
Exactly, who they're pretending to be.
Interesting. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
This was not quite related, but since we're just talking about it, I caught that both Moon Guang's husband and Mr. Kim at one point had Taiwanese cake shop businesses.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least some kind of cake business, and they both failed. So it's like there really is not that much difference. They both have obviously tried, and it just so happens that Oh Gun-sa got really unlucky and got into a lot of debt. And they're now swimming in the debt so badly that he has to go into hiding.
Yeah. Well, it's like the circumstances. Like they both tried something. They're both trying to be entrepreneurs. And one was so bad they had to go into hiding. And the other one, it affected them, but they were fine.
They were still able to keep moving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's like the unpredictability of a plan as well. Like you can't, just because you have a plan, like it doesn't mean it's going to go the way it is because there's very unpredictable elements in it.
Yeah. And without so the biggest thing, kind of going back to the plan, is like they don't have the security for if a plan fails. And that is what money and being rich can give you. Security is like, yeah, if the same thing happened to Mr. Park, he has money, he has things to float him, he has multiple businesses, like he will be fine. But this happens to the poorer families, they have nothing. They get screwed over big time because money in a lot of ways can be security. And it's not accessible to everyone. This is something that I think a lot of people have talked about. But water is obviously another really big motif here.
I don't know if I got that.
Yeah, that's a really big one. That a lot of people have pointed out that I think actually Bong Joon Ho, who I believe he did write this, has pointed out that water only flows down.
Oh man, that's deep. Because you do see the scene where Ki Jung is looking at the water cascading down the stairs. Oh man, that's so deep.
Yeah, if water flows down, it's the same way that money flows. Like, it's never going to come up. You're never going against the flow. You're always going down. So everything, they show so many things of the water faucet. It's a background scene of them moving, but while they're cleaning up, the wife is making the noodles, and it's the shot of the faucet.
Yeah.
Again, the flooding, the water's going down. Bathtub, the water bottles, the rain, like water is very, very, very heavily present, and it's always top to bottom.
What's your take on the toilet overflowing then? Does that still fit?
It still fits, but it fits in the way that you were saying that they are below sewage.
Yeah.
They are so completely at the bottom.
Yeah. That's an interesting take. I like that.
Also, I will say one more thing about the lines is that one of my favorite shots is when the father and the son are in the house and they're trying to collect the things from the flooding, that the father's in the hallway and the son is here and the light's just flickering on and off on him as he stares at the scholar stone.
Oh,
I didn't quite get what that meant, because it is a separation of a line. Maybe it's the fact that like he still is hoping for the best and the father's like, no, we got to save these things now. We have to get out now.
You know what my take was in that scene? Because they're running and they're just trying to get to the house, close the window. And in that moment, they're actually, it's very quick. Like they all kind of resign to the fact that their house is flooded and they're all accepting it and they're carrying the things that mean the most to them. And To me, it was actually a moment of synchronicity between him and his father.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I definitely did not read it. I thought it was like, not that they're disagreeing, but it does highlight Ki-woo's turn into being like, I have to hold on to this one thing that might still work, which is if he can make this job with the Park family work, this is the one thing he still has. Because that's kind of like, I was watching when, at the party, when he's like in Daehee's room, like kissing her, like he's so distracted. And it's like, do you think I belong here? She's like, yeah, sure. Like, and he's like, okay. And that's when he decides to go down with the stone. Like,
oh, yeah, I missed that.
So,
that answer that makes him decide to like get rid of any blackmail.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm taking it. Where I'm like, as I said, he's really idealistic and optimistic. That I'm like, I think he is trying to still hold on to the plan, and he's still trying to hold on.
Whereas the mom and Ki-jung are more realistic. So they're like, we're not going to realistically kill them. We're going to
negotiate.
Yeah.
Him and the father, I think, are the planners and the optimists.
Yeah.
Most of the movie, the father is also very optimistic about what's happening. And he's like, things are great. Things are good. We're moving up in the world. Things are awesome. And it's only when he sees Mr. Park like hold his nose to the dead man that he kind of snaps, because he realizes there is no difference between him and the man who was just murdered.
How so? Why do you think there's no difference between Mr. Park and Mr. Gook?
No, not between Mr. Park, between himself.
Oh, between
Mr.
him. Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. They in Mr. Park's eyes, they are both the same.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's what makes him snap. That is the moment where he's like, oh, there is no moving up.
Oh, interesting.
Not that there's no moving up.
But he'll never cross that line.
He will never.
It comes back to the line. He'll never be able to cross that line.
Yeah.
To be someone who could be in this house and be rich enough to afford it.
Yes. Like they're always going to see him as with that subway smell, that smell on him. Like that smell can never be removed from them. Because he did give up on plans by the convention center scene, but like, yeah.
But it works for him to not have a plan, because if he had a plan, he may have run off and tried to go into hiding, but not having a plan, he was just looking for opportunities that came to him after he stabbed Mr. Park.
Yeah.
So he just hides in the garage.
Yeah.
So like
opportunities.
It's sad, but he's alive and well. And so, yeah, like he not planning also works out for him.
Yeah, it does. Whereas the son keeps trying to make plans.
Yeah.
So the father takes opportunity of the garage being open and is able to make a way so that he's able to survive and escape arrest. And it's a terrible situation, but he's able to survive at the moment. Another favorite shot of mine was the shot of the father running away after stabbing Mr. Park. And it's him going down the stairs, because it looks like a cockroach going into hiding.
Oh.
And it looks, and that is referenced several times. Like in the beginning shots, like the father like swats away an insect. Later on, the wife jokingly calls him a cockroach, and says like, oh, as soon as Mr. Park comes home, he's going to go scurrying back to the dark like Mr. Cockroach. And then this time, that shot I was like, oh no, that's actually what happens, is that he goes scurrying back into the dark. And not to say that he's a cockroach, but that is what happens when you are trying to survive. And cockroaches are notoriously, they're going to survive any shit. Like, they've been around for millions of years. Like, he has to survive, and he has to like become this little dark thing in the basement in the dark in order to survive.
Yeah. And also when they're in the very opening scene, they're fumigating the street, and they're like, let the window open and fumigate the house.
Yeah.
So it's like they themselves are allowing themselves to be fumigated like cockroaches.
Yeah, sorry. But did you see that shot? Because he says that, and so they're all getting fumigated, but it closes up on Mr. Kim and him being surrounded by the smoke.
Oh, yeah,
so
it
that
does.
he
will be the cockroach.
Yeah, he'll be the cockroach. He's the thing that's getting fumigated, and it's going to survive.
But it's also, there's also a determination in him in that moment. Like, he's really watching the video to try and make it better.
Yeah.
And it also makes you think that it's the wife who makes the bad boxes. And it's like...
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think I'd gotten this...
about that.
Yeah, like, I think he is very determined to make things work. Mm-hmm. And she has, like, a more realistic approach. Mm-hmm. I don't know, yeah.
Interesting. I think that's very true. We have, like, two people who are, like, being planners and being like, okay, we can get out of this. And the mother and the daughter are like, no, I don't think so. I think if you don't mind if I take it to a little bit more of a writing perspective. I had 2 points that are about the writing. They're maybe not necessarily related, but I'm going to put them together and we can talk about them separately. First one was that I really like how they foreshadow everything. So everything is extremely well written in this film and everything that they set up gets paid off, but they foreshadow just a little bit at a time. So what some movies will do is that they'll put everything at the beginning and then by the end you're like, okay, I need to remember this. And that totally works. But when you have a lot to foreshadow and set up, it can be a little bit overwhelming when you have a really, really heavy beginning and then it's not as like a while you're like, I don't remember. And then by the end, you're like, oh, right, you said that. This movie does such a good job because they'll set up just enough at a time and they will set up all the twists, honestly, and everything. Like, I forgot about, there's a different point that I forgot about. But the movie is split into 2 halves. So that was my second point. The movie is split into 2 halves, the first half and the second half. And you can see that like the things that are set up in the first half get paid off pretty much by the midpoint. And then they do a second setup where they pay off in the second act. I'm struggling to think of examples, but they give you just enough information. So they're constantly feeding you information in the thing and then it pays off. Actually, I'll come back to that one. But yeah.
You can go on.
Okay. What I was going to say, the other thing, and so, again, someone else pointed this out. I think there's a YouTube essay on it, and I forget the name of it, but it's really good. If you're looking up Parasite essays, you'll find it. So again, it's split into 2 halves, and the first half is like, honestly, kind of a funny movie. I would almost say it's like a heist kind of thing. So you're like, how is this family going to pull this off? And they pull it off, and they're successful. And then the second half is like pure thriller and horror, like it's straight up like a slasher. It's very close. It's a slash, not horror, but slasher. And I love it because almost exactly at the midway point, this YouTuber pointed out that so the mother and the father are kind of play fighting, Mr. and Mrs. Kim, and they start laughing, and the father turns to the kids. He's like, "I got you. That you thought that was real, didn't you?" And the same thing, dang. But he's also saying that to the audience, that he's like, you thought that was real. And immediately after, the housekeeper rings.
Oh, wow.
And the second half starts.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's really deep. Yeah. Because
someone caught that.
I know. I'm glad someone caught that. Well, if we find it, we'll definitely link it.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I was laughing and I was like, I don't remember this film being so funny. And then it got dark and I was like, that's what I remember.
Yeah.
I remember the actual tone of the whole film.
Yeah. You were correct with that. It does play with you because you're like, oh, like, yeah, they want you to think that this is safe. And then we're saying that the humor is almost absurdist. Like, you're some of these characters, you're like, okay, no way is that going to really happen, or no way does anyone actually really act like that. But that kind of plays into the absurdity of, you're like, yeah.
You know, you're making me think of the American fiction essay I did, because like that film was clearly a satire, and a lot of the characters are written to be very extreme, to drive home the point that it's a satire. And it never occurred to me that this film, some of the behaviors are played up to make a point. Yeah. Because, you know, it's a different language and it's a different culture, really, that we're just kind of taking it as is if you're not very familiar with the culture. But yeah.
I think there is some satire to it. I do think that there are people genuinely like the Park family who are really just that gullible. But like, it is played up. It is absolutely played up for jokes and for laughs. Because the tonal shift, because you think that you're safe. And that's exactly what also happens to the Kim families. They think they're safe and they're not. They're in a very fragile situation and it's not going to last.
Yeah.
I'm jumping all over here, but I just wanted to say that, like, so obviously there is like a fully clothed sex scene and it's super secondhand embarrassment and cringy and awkward. And I was like, but that, a lot of times I will argue that a sex scene is not necessary.
Yeah.
And I believe that if you're going to have a sex scene, it should be necessary. And this one is actually one that I would say is necessary. Not like they couldn't have done something else, but that it really solidifies exactly where the Kim family lies. And it is this embarrassing, it is debasing, it is humiliating.
That they're like witnessing that.
They're witnessing this.
And they're like under
a table and they just have to sit there and listen to people have sex. And then they're also like trash talking Mr. Kim. Like,
they're trash talking Mr. Kim. They're cosplaying as
the driver and the prostitute, as if you're cosplaying as poor people.
Yeah.
It is so
debasing.
It's so debasing.
Yeah.
And I was like, and as like uncomfortable as that scene is, I'm like, actually, I could argue that was necessary.
And, yeah, exactly. And it goes back to lines. Like, it goes back to, like, the visual line of being above and below. And, like, showing that the Kim family, no matter how high up they are, the second that the Park family is in the picture, they're, like, below.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even in that same scene, the father crawling away, again, going back to the cockroach metaphor, that, like,
oh, yeah.
he crawls away. There's that time and there's another time where he crawls. And I'm like, yeah, they're making that metaphor that he is both a survivalist and also someone who has to live in the dark in order to survive.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Has to live in the dark to survive. Yeah. I think one of the last thoughts I had is, like, this scene reminds me of it, but I guess it really just was very emotional at the end when Ki-jung is stabbed and her father and her mother are, like, desperately trying to get to her, and her mother is fighting the guy, which is funny because it goes back to, like, that whole thing that the mom is the tough one. So the mom is fighting off the person and the father is trying to help her. And it's just so emotional because Mr. Park is like, hurry, we have to help my son. And it's like, come on, like, you need to help. Just this thing of, like, wanting all hands on deck for your own child.
Yeah. And the Park family doesn't know that that's their daughter.
Yeah, they don't. But it's
still, it's someone dying and bleeding out in front of you.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. I was like, the kid's having a seizure, but Ki-jung is, like, stabbed in her chest. And it's such an emotional scene.
Yeah.
And it's so sad that, like, even in this dire moment, the humanity of Ki-jung and the help and stuff is just not recognized. And the needs of the rich family will always come first.
Yeah, it's completely ignored. We were talking earlier about how the poor people are not helping each other, but, like, that's true of all the people in this society, in this class structure of capitalism. It's all individualistic. No one's helping anyone here. In terms of final thoughts, well, not final thoughts, but question that I was like, actually, I wanted to ask this just because I didn't know what my thought was on it. Do you think Da Sung, who is the son in the Park family, do you think he's faking his genius, quote unquote?
Oh, that's a good question. Is he faking his genius?
Because the mother says that, oh, he's a genius, he's brilliant in this, and the daughter's like, yeah, that's a lot of BS. Like,
you know what my take on it is? My take on it is that he's a very average child, but the mother sees a genius in him. And I think it's the difference between, like, talents that are elevated and nurtured versus talents that are practical and useful, because you have to compare Da Sung, who's the younger one, to Ki-jung, who's the youngest in her family. And she has such good talents that she completely forges a transcript. Like, she actually has art skills and it's useful, but that's not the type of talent that we applaud or that we set up. And we see that in our day-to-day lives. Like, there's, I always think of people who are, like, teachers and doctors and nurses and all that stuff. And I was like, that should be, like, one of the most famous professions ever. Or, like, firefighters, or, like, people who are saving lives. And yet that's not, we put, like, directors and screenwriters and famous, we need art for sure. But it's this difference between, like, who are the people who are actually making things work and who are the people that are applauded for a singular reason, like artistic taste, which isn't bad. It just is what it is. Yeah.
And same thing with, like, again, going back to, like, Mr. Park, that, like, I think he's a tech owner or something like that, tech CEO. And the housekeeper's husband, Gunsa, like, worships him. And it's like, equally, you and your wife are the ones who are, like, kind of keeping this man's house lights literally running.
Yeah. One of the questions I had was just the significance of green and then the significance of blue. And I think I have to watch it with more intention.
Pay attention with that.
Yeah. There's a lot of green.
Blue, I could argue, is, like, the water, like, always representing that.
Yeah. I can see that because it shows up a lot more in the after the flooding scene. Yeah.
There is a really interesting color palette and ambiance to the movie. And I was appreciating that because we were watching and the dog was admiring the movie a lot. So I was like, oh, maybe this is pleasing to her. I think I would have to watch again with colors in mind. Green is definitely very important. A lot of characters wear green. You could say green, obviously, is nature, but I'm not really sure how nature is going to play into this theme.
Yeah.
I kind of want to say green as sewage as well.
I don't know. Because, like, there's even scenes that they're in the house or something. There's, like, a green light or a green reflection in the background. To me, green signified duplicitousness.
Interesting. You're right, because the basement is very heavily green.
Yeah. Yeah, it signified duplicitousness, or a moment where a character is being duplicitous, but I think so, yeah. One more thing I was wondering, is there significance to the cowboys and Indians?
Yes. A lot of people have talked about this as well. There is there's a repeated thing of like the Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts. I actually can jump off this. But obviously that's going to play into a very practical plot thing of the Morse code. But there's also this thing of the son is appropriating Indian culture, and it's kind of, again, cosplaying as something and idealizing, romantic something that's not really that ideal or romantic, because I'm like, obviously Native Americans in America have been treated horribly and still deal with a lot of issues today.
Oh, that's a very fair point, because they play cowboys and Indians, but he never is dressed up as the cowboy. It's always
the Indian.
It's always the indigenous culture that he's appropriating, and he's like romanticizing this struggle when it's not something to be romanticized or glossed over or made into a kid's game.
Yes, exactly. It's like so superficial. It's very appropriative, very inappropriate too.
Yeah.
But I was also going to say that there is, and I don't know if this is true for Korean culture. I'm kind of basing this off, honestly, of Indian culture. But there is an admiration of American culture that I at least was picking up on in this movie. And I think that's just true for our own culture, that like, it's like very impressive that Min's going to study abroad. It's impressive. Oh, yeah. It's kind of significant whenever that he teaches English, or that whether the wife or the daughter or someone speaks English. There's a couple of other things too, but that also includes the Indians and cowboys. Like,
it's like the admiration and kind of, it's almost like that culture putting on a pedestal American culture in the way that
or at least
Mr. Gook
culture
does to Mr. Park.
Yeah, like this Western culture. Like it's almost, and I don't think that's exclusive to the Park family. I think that is probably the way that colonialism has happened across the world. Like, I think a lot of Asian countries probably feel similarly, and I could be totally off base on this, but I was noticing that I was like, oh, it's impressive. Oh, that was what it was. That it was like, I think they were faking the transcripts and the resumes. They were like making it that Jessica was from Illinois, that she studied.
That's right.
That's what it was.
Yes.
That she studied from Illinois. I think Kiwoo's backstory also involved an American studies or something, like, or studying in America. But like, so I was like, it's associating themselves with America makes them seem more legitimate.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. One other thing, the final thing I was going to say or point was that the Scholar Stone, again, is a really important motif. It represents Kiwoo's hopes and dreams of making a better life for himself. And people pointed out that it's probably a fake stone because it rises in the water.
I was going to say that. Yeah. I was looking at it and I was like, am I imagining that it's floating? But I was like, where it was in the house, I was like, it wouldn't have been like horizontal at any point.
Yeah. I never picked up on that until other people pointed out. And that's really interesting. And he clings to it. And it was interesting. I thought I was wondering if it was a translation because I didn't remember this line. But the father asked him, he's like, why are you still clinging to that thing? He's like, it keeps following me. Like, and he's like clinging and hugging it to sleep. And it's end up what he gets injured with, like his own dreams.
I saw that line too, and I was like, I wish I knew what this was in Korean because I didn't feel like it was an accurate translation
either. Think it was an accurate translation. Yeah, because I remember we were watching on Netflix this time, but I've seen it elsewhere, and I was like, I didn't remember the line being like that.
Yeah.
But scholar stones are like a long part of Korean history. I think. Don't quote me on this. They're supposed to bring education and good luck and success. And it definitely in this movie is the symbolism of his hopes and dreams.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very sad.
Yeah, very sad.
Very sad because it goes crashing down.
Yeah. Last thoughts.
Love this movie. Really good. We are just purely touching on the surface of this. We're also kind of just winging this. There is so much. It's such a well-made movie, beginning to end, and so much more to unpack. And also extremely relevant.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting that the world has changed so much and it's still so relevant. So much to unpack, visually beautiful. We mentioned that our dog was watching the film and it's like, yeah, the colors and the balance of like the balance of the screen and the shots were just so perfectly and beautifully done and intentionally done. And yeah, he's an amazing director, and this was a great film. And it's sad, but it's so much to think about and analyze and talk about. And yeah, this was just a hot take, but we're happy to have watched it and discussed it with you guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye. Do you have any last things to mention or talk about? Or
the only thing I forgot to say, which I don't have to say, was that I really love how they do the flashback of the son eating the cake and seeing the cake.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was very creepy. I think that was in a lot of trailers, and that's like... But you know what I like about that, too? It's like they make Mr. Gook looks so much more devilish than he actually is. And like, yeah.
I love the fact that he... Wait, I need to think about that. One, I love the way that it's filmed because the flashback starts while the mother is still talking. Like the door opens behind her and then she's like, oh, he was saying that. Like, I was like, that is such a cool way to do do a flashback. And then the other thing was, I like that they don't tell us about that flashback until after we know about the man in the basement.
Oh yeah.
Because one, the first half of the movie is not a horror. Yeah. It's a completely different movie. But two, it would have been a jump scare and it would have been a horror and it would have completely changed the tone. It would have been like, oh, what's going to happen?
Yes.
But by the time we see it, we know who that is.
Yeah.
And so it's more informative than it's trying to scare us.
Yeah.
Even though it is extremely creepy.
So creepy, yeah.
I've seen this movie like 3 times and the creepy scenes are still super creepy.
Yeah, still super creepy. I think 100% this movie deserved to win. I'm so happy that it won like best film, and it kind of changed like... My understanding is that it did change the parameters of what can be considered for a best film. It won.
My understanding, yes.
Yeah, we said best film, best director, best original screenplay, but best international film as well. And I think it's the first time an international film won best film.
I think so, or at least the first time in a long time.
Yeah, first time in a long time. I think there was another film a while ago.
And definitely one that wasn't made by like a Western company.
Yeah, exactly.
And I will always remember Bong Joon Ho saying, like, if you get over the barrier of a 1-inch tall subtitles, you're open up to a whole world.
Yes, I think about that for years. And anytime that I'm like, oh, I don't feel like watching subtitles, I think about that. Yeah. And I'm like, so if you can get over the barrier of a 1-inch subtitle, go watch this film.
Definitely.